Welcome back to DC Silver Age Storytime, and today we have Action Comics 251. This was published in April 1959 with story by Robert Bernstein and art by Al Plastino. I hope he gives me a hitch, Puff. Flying is too much in my effort for me in my old age. Will Superman live forever? See what happens when he becomes the oldest man in Metropolis. So this story gives me the chance to use my old man voice. So Superman is visiting a scientist, and the scientist has come up with, or trying to come up with a serum that will de-age or slow down age. Superman as Clark Kent doesn't. He wants to try it out on himself, but Superman decides he's going to take it himself since he's invulnerable. And he drinks it down. The scientist says, You drank the whole thing just to save me from taking the risk? That was courageous, Mr. Kent, but you shouldn't have done it. How do you feel? And he feels fine. But then the scientist goes back and discovers that his guinea pigs have aged to old age. And so he's very concerned. But Superman is not concerned because the only thing that can affect him is kryptonite. However, he discovers that there is something in there. I guess it's not kryptonite, but it's an isotope that is kryptonite-like. So he goes to bed, and when he wakes up, great Scott, my hands, they're gnarled and bony, and my body, it's become shriveled and stooped. I can't stand completely erect. So he's quite elderly. He goes back to the scientist and discovers that it lasts exactly 72 hours, 3 days. Now, of course, that lasted on guinea pigs, but I guess he's quite confident that it's going to last 72 hours even for Clark Kent. So he's legit old. My powers of flight and speed have been terrifically weakened. I can't soar. Ugh, puff, puff. Altitude makes me dizzy. I just wanted to avoid colliding with that skyscraper. So he goes back and he explains to everyone. He tells the truth. Doesn't tell that he's Superman, but that he drank this liquid. But he spots a pirate ship attacking another ship. Now, I don't know why Superman just doesn't take a break. But he decides he has to go and rescue, even though he's quite old and now has to hold on to a plane. But decides, well, actually, I'll just send my robot out. But because his voice is quivering now because he's old, the robot apparently cannot understand him and just goes berserk. He tries to, because he still looks like his body is mostly muscular, tries to cut his beard off, but of course, it's invulnerable. Even in his old age, it's still invulnerable. So this is actually a little clever, I guess. He dresses up as the old man of the sea rather than as Superman to scare them. They think he's just a fraud, so they toss him in the ocean. But he rises back up. They shoot a cannonball at his belly. Now, it does hurt. Ooh, that hurt. Now I know what human beings go through when they have a bellyache. But it doesn't go through him, so they are convinced that he's the old man of the sea. Now you're wise. Sail due east and surrender to the Coast Guard ship cruising there. So I guess they do. So Perry White says, Clark, with that beard of yours, you've got an assignment. That's a natural. You'll spend a day at the local old man's home. Old man's home. Then you'll write a feature. I lived in an old man's home. Now, when they say old man's home, they don't mean an old man. They mean like an old age home, but I guess it's all men. So that sounds like a fascinating story. But as he's there, he spots some thieves. The thieves are hiding in the stockroom of the toy department. I've got an idea. The old men were talking about a position open at the store as a Santa Claus. I'll apply for the job. So apparently he applies for the job, gets hired, and starts his job as Santa Claus I guess in a few minutes. And then this is so silly. This guy comes up, Santa, please try on this Superman costume for this customer. He wants to make sure it'll fit his father. Well, is his father exactly the same size? Is he able to look and see? And that boy looks, I don't know, a bit old. So for whatever reason, he comes out as Superman, but he's lost his strength now. So he convinces a boy to shoot an arrow at this this big blow up clown or something, and the popping causes this guy to get scared. He drops his gun, and then apparently Superman still has this X-ray vision, so he's able to use that and his super breath. Now, I thought, I would have assumed that the super breath was just a byproduct of his super strength, but apparently not. Apparently they're separate. So he goes back to the old man's home. And the old man says he's too weak to blow out the candles. And Superman says, my lungs aren't that weak yet. I'll stand behind Casey and use my super breath. So the old man thinks he blew it out, and he says, I did it. With one puff, I blew them all out. This is the happiest day of my life. Wow, that's sad. That is sad that's the happiest day in his life. He must have had a sad life. So it turns out there's another criminal. This one is the Clock. Although there is another criminal in DC called the Clock, but this is clearly not him. He uses clock-based crimes. So he goes out as Father Time this time, and he has his scythe, but I guess the scythe is a powerful electromagnet, so it will cause any bullets to go. The guy thinks that the old man, that he presents himself as Father Time, that he's real because the bullets don't seem to affect him. And then a mouse runs up a clock, and I don't know, some coincidence, and then it causes money to pop out. So I don't know. He convinces him he's Father Time. So the whole problem is that Superman had promised to do a charity event where he is shot out of a cannon. God knows why. I mean, you would think that Superman could just do some super feats. I mean, that's kind of something a human does. He wears a helmet, which would kind of probably confuse people. And he comes up with a solution because he's going to die. I guess this cannon is going to really shoot him far. But the cannon stops working, and it takes an hour for them to repair it. And finally they do shoot. There he goes, propelled by explosives that would kill anybody except Superman. So he flies through the air. Well, I did it. Luckily remembered the professor's words that the guinea pigs regained their youth exactly 72 hours after they ate the vitamin. I drank the vitamin 71 hours ago, so I disconnected part of the firing mechanism at the base of the barrel so that I could stall 1 extra hour till I regained my youth and power. So Lois and Clark celebrate by taking in a theater. What's the matter, Clark? Is anything wrong? Plenty, Lois. Look at that musical. You've selected Rip Van Winkle, Who Grow Old Overnight. A Rip Van Winkle musical? It's enough to turn any man's hair gray. Now, another solution he could have done with the cannon is just not go. Just say, I'm Superman, sometimes I get busy. But I guess he put it in faith that if a guinea pig regains its youth after 72 hours, exactly, that he will too. So that's, what was it? The Oldest Man in Metropolis, Action Comics 251.